Good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening, free enterprise fans, and welcome to the matchup between PK4787 and Antidale. I'm one of your commentators, Oscar424, and with me I have Dishmu619. So, Dishmu, how you doing tonight?
I'm excited, super excited for this race between PK and Antidale. PK coming off of a super hype win that I will not discuss further here, but we are really excited to see what he has to show us tonight. And Antidale coming in with a 1-1 record, two very distinguished runners, sure to give us a really great race.
And as we have some wonderful people in chat explaining the naming scheme on PK's side, because I am not that highbrow to understand it, looking at the objectives on Antidale's side, we have a nice mixed bag here. We have our standard forge with the Legend Sword and the Adamant Rock, which is every seed's going to have that. And then we have a boss location in Lower Babel. We have your completing Mount Ordeals, and we have completing the Sealed Cave. So we're pretty much going everywhere with a little bit of an edge towards the underworld. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, we definitely are going to need underground access, so underground cannot be haunted. Ordeals is fairly free. It's open to us from the beginning. We just need to be strong enough to power through those three bosses, one of which will come at us from the wrong direction. Sealed Cave can be interesting depending on who you find there, because the spot where you typically fight the evil wall can be a little bit dangerous for some of the bosses who appear there. The other thing to look out for, I think, with these objectives is just whether this becomes a hook seed or a magma key seed, because if it is a hook seed, we will get an early peek at that lower Babel boss on the way down.
Yeah, and as we've seen in a couple matches already, depending on who you find, if you have to go on that hook route and you find some interesting hook bosses, you might be stuck there for a while based on your teams. And seeing that Kane there, I'm quite content with a Kane as a starting character. I actually really love him in my party. I know he needs gear to do a pretty good job, but I just like having somebody that can take a hit. I mean, yes, mages can be faster with the reflex strats, but give me armor, please. So we'll see how that plays out based on the other character checks that they'll be finding as we go along.
The strongest weapon you're going to find for him outside of Pokel's Forge is, I believe, under this flag set, going to be that Gungnir Spear, which is pretty decent, but you're not likely to find early on in the seed. So it could be a problem getting him up to the damage that you need to make him a viable character for some of those harder boss locations.
Agreed. And with the screens going out, it looks like we are going to be starting our seed and get our check at our partner character. And it looks like the Betrayer is joined with a Dark Knight Cecil. And speaking of decent items for Kane, we have a White Spear start given to us from Val Valis. So I'm pretty
sure. We're not worried about that now.
Yeah, the runners are going to be very happy to see that. So it does look like both our runners decided to not take Cecil on this first time. For those of you that don't know, with our table flags, they are slightly different from the group set, where in groups, once you said no to them, they were gone forever. In tables, if you say no to a character, when you meet them, they go to, I believe, Nisidia, where you can pick them up later on. However, once they're in your party, they are permanently in your party. So you'll see a lot of our runners maybe have character team comps of 2 to 3 to start for a while until they know what they're getting.
And we already have divergence. We have Antidale heading right to the Waterfall Cave to loot and check that character, where we have PK going right into Baron, also to loot and check a character.
Yep, it looks like we had Kane, second Kane, because one Kane wasn't enough, blocked by the elements in that first fight spot. On Antidale's side in the Watery Pass, we have Iridia, so an interesting choice for a Black Mage. Not surprised Antidale said no. Her early game is a little scary because it's, well, not that strong. But that Dwarf Axe was a really nice pickup in the Watery Pass, so we'll see what he does with that.
From the like Iridia start, I think she takes a while to get going. she does get very reliable very quickly if you can find even one useful summon for her, or if you can complete Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. And plus, you can get a free summon on the right side of Mount Hobbs. So sometimes you get a good one, sometimes you get a cockatrice. So it's completely random.
I have had seeds where cockatrice saved my behind. Having a free access to a low-level stone spell is more powerful than you think in some seeds. There are definitely bosses that are susceptible to that stone spell, like Dark Imps, Baron Soldiers, and the Kaifo Guards. And being able to have access to stone, which you normally wouldn't get until much higher of a level, or until you had Tella with his full spell set, can actually make the difference between being able to pass a really tough upper Eblon boss and getting underground, or just being completely blocked. And we see both runners heading into Damcian. So we'll get to see what character's waiting for us here as well.
And it looks like we have a Punch Mage with Yang. And actually, point of note, in the Watery Pass, for all of Arcane fans in attendance, we got some really nice gear. We got a Diamond Shield, which is nice, kind of early to mid, but we did get a Dwarf Axe and a Poison Axe. So we have a lot of options for our Arcanes, potentially our Paladin Cecils, and I believe our Sids as well.
Absolutely. And it's good to have options as well, because the Holy Elemental on that white lance is going to make it unsuitable for a couple of our bosses.
Agreed. And looks like PK is very glad that the waterfall is not a required objective, because our alt gauntlet has been found. And it looks like it is a pool party that PK wanted nothing to do with. And I think Chad is pointing out that there was... I did not say a Blizzard Axe. I mean, I just did. But hey, to our restreamer, Ground Flyer, I hear you. I see you teasing me.
And another Punch Mage up on Mount Hobbs, guarded by the Dark Knight himself.
So we've pretty much seen 3 characters, and oh look, at Mysidia, we have a third Punch Mage. But on the bright side, Antidale is probably very happy because our Tella has been found, and PK is actually getting the good news right now. So we definitely have grind access, be it words are hard. D-Machine, aka the D-Money grind, or potentially a Mac Giant. So we have options.
Right. Turns out Punch Mages are not the only right in this world.
Yeah, and in these seeds, it's definitely the old man yelling at cloud. That's the way to go. Looks like we are doing some basic shopping here. Those life pots are really nice to see, so we can start building those up. We have a little bit of a white mage in form of Tella, but his MP is severely limited unless you find a Soma drop and you decide to not give Kane MP. He'll be sitting there with his 90 MP and doing not much else.
There was a Poison Claw for sale in Mysidia, which is a nice little strength boost for Young if either one of them decides to take him, or 2 of him, or 3.
Looks like we'll be having our first actual boss fight coming up, potentially. We have PK checking out the Antlion Cave, getting some looting done, doing that character swap that I, to this day, cannot do as successfully as any of the runners that I see in this race, and I'm both low-key and high-key jealous of that, being able to be done so efficiently.
Crystal Shield, that's going to be nice money for them if they don't take a Cecil, and yet another Dwarf Axe.
Yeah, this is it's a lot of melee and a lot of axes, so this will be... I'm not complaining. I personally like the mage or the melee teams, but ooh, we have some guards, some very magic-y guards.
Now, this is a little tricky because those guards do have a counterattack script that can put various status effects on your party. but it looks like a single jump from Kane is going to take each one of them out. And that should be it.
And also, just to make sure I said it, since Ground Flyer, our wonderful restreamer, called out a quote-unquote Blizzard Axe, there's no Blizzard Axe. There is a Blizzard Spear in Antlion Cave. And even better, we might be able to see some Runners of the People, because the Antlion Cave has given us potential music with the Twin Harp.
I think that's music to everybody's ears. We're all looking forward to jamming to the sounds of DJ Spoony B.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if either of them goes that route. It is a very long check for a singular key item, unless Demas just happens to be there, and that's potentially 2 key items. But, you know, you don't normally see it that often unless they say find a hook and they're trying to look for a magma key. So fingers crossed. We'll see if we can find that. But right now, while Antidale's finishing up his Antlion Cave, PK is defending Fabul, and he is defending it from a Sparkle.
Antidale getting the good news, music in our future, hopefully. And PK, deep knowledge of the game, using the white lance as an item, actually casts a weaker version of the white or holy spell, which the D-Lunars are in fact weak to.
Yep, chances are these Lunars are not too long for this undead world here. And like Jason pointed out in chat, that white spear was a fantastic starting item, especially seeing D-Lunar this early on. So PK is done defending Fabul. Antidale is doing an encore performance that fight, but our item check is going to be, survey says, the Rat Tail, which it's a key item check if you have the hook. Until then, it is just a key item in and of itself, so potentially good, but we don't know what it's going to be for a while.
Right. Now, about that start with the white lance. In your opinion, Asuka, is it better to start with a white lance or an Avenger, if you have Kane?
It's honestly, it really depends on who you're up against. I mean, say you run into Antlion. The problem is with Antlion is he has that counter scripter. It has that counter script where any type of fight command instantly counters with a really annoying attack. If Kane has the Avenger Sword, Kane's just going to start walloping and the counters are going to come flying. So, if possible, I'd like to start without an Avenger Sword, unless I know I'm good as gold. The nice thing about Free Enterprise is you can actually lock in the stats of an item or a weapon and then switch to the Avenger Sword. So a lot of times with, say, Crystal Sword and Cecil, you'll see people start with the Crystal Sword, and then once they get to their turn, they'll swap to the Avenger Sword. So although Cecil is using the Avenger Sword and getting that free Berserk, the game thinks that Cecil is still using the Crystal Sword and retaining the Crystal Sword's stats. So I guess when given the question between White Spear and Avenger, yes is a good answer for that one.
In the meantime, PK has discovered the Bard himself up on Mount Ordeals.
Go on.
Go. No worries.
As a proud card-carrying member of Team Best Boy, I'm always happy to see Edward. Unfortunately, the Spoon Flag is not active, so chances are, unless we get a rude evil wall or something, Eddie will be watching from the sidelines.
And we see Antidale checking the shops in Toroya. Makes me wonder if Antidale is going to head up to Cave Magnus. There's still no known route underground. And could just be he might bet that PK wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's not surprising because, like we said earlier, Cave Magnus is a very long check. And it could either pay off or it could take a very long time. It looks like Antidale is following PK's footsteps, though, by checking ordeals, but it is nice to essentially prep for Cave Magnus if that's where the seed is telling you to go. And it looks like for the first spot on the bridge, we are dealing with a Mom Bomb, which is, it can be an annoying fight. It can be done pretty quickly if you're able to defeat Mom Bomb before she explodes into her 6 little bomblings, which unfortunately didn't happen here, but it still shouldn't give PK too many problems.
Using that lit bolt on Kane, that is an HP-based weapon, or HP-based J item. It's going to take out 3 of the bombs right away. Having any sort of area of attack is a great advantage when you get to this phase of the battle. And luckily, PK had found that one item. Unfortunately, does not have a second one to finish it off, and has to whack them all with the lance.
And as you're seeing on PK's screen, if you do not defeat the bombs and or the gray bombs fast enough, they will eventually explode and do damage to your characters. Thankfully, though, PK survived with Kane and Tella intact, so he'll be saving, probably changing orders, which looks like he did right there, and he'll be facing the back tack spot, which just happens to be. I'm kind of disappointed.
So, this is not a boss you typically want to see, because he has an extremely long script which plays out every time you fight him, and which you must sit through. There's no way to skip it. He is completely invulnerable until the script ends. Luckily, though, for both of our runners, as PK's finding out and Antidale will find out, having 2 characters going into this fight, Golbez's pet Shadow will already have pre-gamed and not be terribly hungry. Bye-bye, Shadow.
Yeah, probably the... considering Twin Harp is on the table, I'm sad that it's here because, again, Shadow pre-gamed, but I'm also glad it's not, say, in Cave Magnus, because unlike every other boss that could be behind the Twin Harp, Golbez actually overrides the music, so you don't get to hear the music play. Now, unfortunately for PK, he did take a reset right there, because Golbez can be kind of cheeky with his spells, and if you're not careful and you're not able to reflect them back at him, he can hit pretty hard in certain places.
And unfortunately, none of our characters in the party have anything they can use to mitigate that hold gas at this point in the game. Final Fantasy IV has a vanilla property where status bits cannot override certain other status bits. So if you come into this battle already with size status or piggy status, you will actually not be paralyzed by the hold gas. And as a result, you can have one of your characters queue up a Star Veil before this scripted sequence ends and have it execute at the first possible tick that it can when control is returned to you. And this makes this battle fairly trivial. This not being a possible strategy for this team, Antidale just relied on getting that up a little bit quickly with Kane.
Agreed, and I don't know about you or in chat's opinion, I love seeing people prep for Golbez matter fights with just a whole, I don't even know what the combination of multiple pigs would be. Well, pigsty piggies? It's just fun.
Yeah. And luckily the statuses each have their own unique properties. When you are miniature, you can actually still cast spells. But when you're a pig, you cannot cast spells, but your melee attacks still have full damage. And we see that the mountain held a pan for us, which is really nice to see, because once you do get underground, that gives you 2 extra checks, one immediately at the Sylph Cave, and then a second returning the pan to Sheila.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice if they had Piggy there, because we could fry up some bacon. Right now, though, you don't really need a pan for sushi. So, well, this is a pretty nice spot to see Octomam. It's a relatively low HP spot. It is okay if one of the characters dies there, because there is no XP to, well, lose. But it looks like Antidale has completed Mount Ordeals. Tella is now online. He has woken up, has remembered all of his spells, especially the one he can't use, and the first objective of our match will be done.
In the meantime, PK starting his battle with Proto Ultros. Not quite as charismatic, but we see where they were going with the idea.
I'm suddenly thinking with Proto Ultros, like someone needs to page Natara. Get her opinion on that one. But yeah, what's actually really interesting about Octomam that you don't really get to see in this spot is Octomam starts off very, very fast, and the vanilla spot is the waterfall spot. As you whittle away Octomam's HP, the octopus loses a tentacle and becomes slower each and every time. So although it starts hitting you a lot of times really fast as the fight progresses, Octomam gets sleepier and sleepier and sleepier and just eventually kind of sits there and takes a lot of the beating. But moving on, Antidale has finished his sushi and he's heading to the bar to take on the elements. We'll see how quickly he can. It looks like it's going to be a quick fight on his end.
And we are at the last Sphere Zero overworld spot. If this does not give us some underground access, then we will have a required Cave Magnus.
Now, what's interesting to note is there are certain bosses that cannot gate underground access, or cannot gate the only route underground. And chat and Dishu, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Valvalis, Wyvern, and I want to say Golbez. So by seeing Golbez on Mount Ordeals, that did tell our runners that, hey, if the hook, say the hook was the key item there, they should know that, you know what, I actually don't have to probably go the hook route because I just saw Golbez. That means I can still find a magnet key somewhere.
That's absolutely correct. And that sort of deep knowledge of the randomizer itself is one of the things that I think we're going to see from all of our runners here at the table round level. They're all going to have that sort of deep understanding of what certain key item and boss placements mean for their odds of finding certain things in certain places. It's those kinds of details that I think you can only get with a certain level of experience.
Or you can just watch way too many of these matches. So,
well, you know, true story. I watched Invenerable play this game for 1.5 years before I started. And here's our hook. Here's our hook.
Now the question becomes, does Antidale check the Twin Harp in hopes of a magma key? Or does... Actually, there's one thing he can do with the hook. He has the rat tail. That is a check that I would make right away.
Absolutely. I don't think you go underground by the hook route with a rat tail on the table.
And although we don't get to see it, we don't get to see this rude boss in other places. CPU is actually, it's a pretty straightforward fight, but it is in certain high HP areas, it is a slog. Basically, what you want to do is take out the defender, leave the attacker. It's an HP-based attack. I believe it's 10% of max health. But once the defender is done, start walloping on the CPU until it's dead, and then defeat the attacker. Because if both the defender and attacker are dead, you deal with some Globe 199s, which in most spots does mean your death.
That's right. And a very rare but very valuable siren at the rat tail. That is going to be a little spicy. That means we can actually, once we have access to the underground, get a fairly good ramp up on some characters if we want to take a single egg battle, or we could save it to try and just push through some battles up on the moon by taking a more difficult moon battle. There were mute bells in that item shop that PK just left in Baron, and taking a warlock battle in the lunar subterrane could actually get you quite a few levels early on in the game without having to commit to a full grind.
Agreed. And with the table flags, it should be noted that I believe sirens are no longer available in shops, nor do they appear in the loot tables for Edge to Steal. So, yeah, seeing that siren there is pretty nice. And also, Antidale, being a runner of the people, stopped by Troya, grabbed a black chocobo, and is clearly heading to Cave Magnus. So, chat, we are going to be getting some early music. Let's see those Freon harps in chat as we see Antidale make his way over there. Now, the nice thing about Free Enterprise and the Twin Harp is, you know, I love DJ Spoonie B, but let's be real, the song that he plays kind of boring. So what Scala, Calamity, and I'm not sure who else, there's a couple other people that have done this, they have put together some fantastic harp renditions of a whole bunch of different songs from a whole bunch of different games and sources. And Boardface has done some too. Thank you, Sorcerer's Scala there. So once we deal with Dark Elf attacking, or he attack us, we're defeated, and DJ Spoonie Bard saves the day with a random song of his choosing.
And at this point in the broadcast, we commentators are going to stay very quiet so that you can hear whatever song Eddie decides to play for us today. And we see Town from Final Fantasy II as our music, and Millen Z is our Cave Magnus boss today.
And plus, that does give us a little bit of information, because if we see another purple robe without a beard, we know that's going to be Milon Z and friends. So, but hopefully that White Spear is going to be doing some good work against Milon Z here, as Milon Z goes down, and let's see if we have a magma route or a hook route.
And it looks like we are about to get an encore of music.
Well, the Legend Sword is one half of the Forge of the Legend Sword and the Adamant, and, you know, as I just said, if we find out this is Hook or Magma, have we checked the Mist Cave yet? Have we checked the Mist Cave? Has there been a cave?
I believe PK did check it, but I actually turned away and didn't see what he found. I'm assuming it was not the D-Mist.
Ah, maybe. Okay, so Mylon and Friends was at Mist Cave. There we go. I think we both missed it there. So, chat, get your guesses in order. It looks like we are going the hook route. What rudeness do we want to see, and why is it Ogo at Rubicante?
I don't think it's going to be Ogo, Asuka. I think we're going to see Evil Wall today.
I mean, I could kind of do a quick callback to a few days ago and say, why not both? Not that I've seen those seeds happen.
So, Groundflyer, I believe we already did see Payman. Payman was up on Mount Hobbs, and both of our runners said, nope.
Pain Man definitely punch right there. I know Antline can be another rude one, but pretty much anybody that is a pretty physical fighter. Trino in chat has pointed out the other very evil Ruby spot boss, and that would be his fellow element, Kanatsu, the turtle.
That's right. That is a very beefy boss spot with, I believe, 22k HP, if I'm not mistaken. And the only thing I like to see less than Kainasa there is CPU. But we've already seen CPU today.
And it looks like, though, we find out it's actually not really a physical fighter at all. It is a trio in the form of the Magus Sisters. And looks like they set our favorite Sid on fire. Let's see if Antidale decides to take him along. Nope. We are going a two-party hook route.
Little do they know Sid is both fire and bomb-proof. It's canon.
Sid is pretty much everything proof, which is why he is in every single Final Fantasy.
Although, to be clear, only Yang is actually canon-proof.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
And there is a Sylph summon on Antidale's side.
That definitely puts value to Rydia, so that's definitely something that's going to be in the back of Antidale's mind, and it looks like he is heading back out of the cave, so we'll see what he decides to do.
And a Cat Claw, which is Yang's best weapon. Increases both his strength and agility stats, although it doesn't actually increase his attack power. But he goes right ahead and sells that.
Looks like Antidale's not feeling the punch mage today. I don't blame him. Yang is pretty good late, but one of the reasons we call him punch mage is he's really good with levels. Not so much equipment, just give him levels and power overwhelming begins.
And we did see Antidale pick up an Ogre Axe, despite having Tella in the party.
It's a nice item. It's good for, like you've alluded to, it's good for doing the anchoring, but it's good for maybe a Sid anchor. But yeah, with Tella already in it, that's interesting. I did see that in our Evelyn shops, we had Soma drops, which is fantastic for Tella, so he can get potentially 10 MP, get another weak spell cast, be able to cast Meteor, or if you want to be the ultimate runner of the people, you can give Kain 10 MP. And for those in chat that are anti-give Kain MP, you can add me.
So it looks like, given the items that we found so far and the bosses that we know are ahead of us, Antidale has gone ahead and picked up, as his third-party member, that Sid. Which isn't a bad choice, all things considered. Plenty of axes for him to equip, which are his best weapons. And he can also equip a fair amount of heavy armor. But Antidale notably did not sell the Sylph summon.
Yeah, he has a very, very, very melee intense team, which is fantastic, but yeah, maybe Antidale might be going for, or hopefully going for hybrid strats. Unfortunately, we really haven't seen much else. We haven't seen any twins. I mean, they're 5 years old, so they might be asleep. But we haven't seen a true white mage in the form of Rosa. It's the scene right now, aside from that, Rydia has been very, very melee, which interesting.
Now, if we're at the point where we've decided we're going to go full melee Berserk strats, we have Tella to cast Berserk. We'd ideally like a second white mage to cure our party up and give us a second source of Berserk, but we really want to have those powerful melee fighters in our party with the most powerful weapons possible equipped to them. And we already know there's a second Kain, and we have nice weapons that Kain could use in the form of the various axes we found. So we have some options.
Yeah, you're right. I've seen a lot of, if you want an axe, we pretty much have every axe available, but I haven't seen too many mage weapons. So this seed is absolutely screaming melee right now. So I'm curious as to how this is going to play out for our deer runners. And it looks like PK on the hook route has come across the Mad Ogre chest, which would be a little bit easier if he had, I don't know, more mages to cast some certain spells. But
or arguably an ogre axe.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that one. Because for some reason, you look at those mad ogres and you go, you know what? They're mages. So yeah, ogre axes do fantastic damage against them. Weapons that are really good against mages do really good against the mad ogres.
Yeah. We have not actually seen the rune axe yet, which is the one axe we haven't seen. I believe we saw a hand axe in the shop, which no one would ever have bought. But we have seen poison axe, ogre axe. We have seen the dwarf axe. We have not seen a rune axe, which would be the axe that grants power against mages. But there is an hourglass behind the mad ogre fight. So our runners now have an hourglass and a siren at their disposal. But just one.
Yeah, seeing that hourglass is really going to be nice for some of those rude bosses that are susceptible to that hourglass. Give them a little more time to get things either set up or just take out the boss as quickly as possible.
And I love how the next chest after the Mad Ogres had a mute bell in it. It's the full we can only do one warlock battle starter kit.
Like, we're going to give you the correct items, but we're going to give them to you in the incorrect order. Don't hate us, rando gonna rando. You can see on Antidale's side, he has used the size spell to turn those big brute ogres into little tiny baby ogres, which, well, pose no threat to our team anymore. So we'll be able to take those out pretty quickly and get some life glitches along the way.
In the meantime, we're going to see who is waiting for us at the King Queen Eblon spot as soon as PK's cutscene ends, and it is Rubicant.
Is this even slightly randomized? We have some French vanilla here, chat. But while we see that wonderful leg with Ruby, when you see that leg open and available, he takes a lot of damage to ice spells. Unfortunately, the one person that could do that ice damage, well, took a brief dirt nap as they were getting ready to charge an ice spell.
But Kane is just going to do so much damage with his jump attack, equipped with that Blizzard Spear. One jump and one swing, and Rubicant goes down. That spot only has around 6,000 hit points. Or 7,000 hit points, somewhere in that range. Maybe our tracker can whisper that in my ear, the exact number.
And in honor of our wonderful tracker, Lore Master Motos, Invenerable in chat is dropping some lore in the form of Conqueror rules, which, as you may or may not know, Invenerable was our winner of the full gauntlet, and the way the Conqueror rules work, the last person to beat him is the current champ, and as you may or may not know, PK's lone win came against Invenerable. So currently, PK is our champion. Question is now, will he retain, or will Antidale take that crown from him?
So Antidale now in that battle with Rubicant also has the Blizzard Spear and will be likely dispatching him with extreme prejudice.
And quick shout out to Telelife getting that surviving with 2 HP to get Kane fully berserked. Shout out and congrats to that one.
And thank you to our tracker, LM Motas, for confirming that it is indeed 6,000 hit points at this spot.
So pretty much for the Magus Sisters, it can be a little hairy, but it's pretty straightforward. I believe it is Mindy that is it Cindy or is it Mindy that does the revives? There, you can help me out, DJ,
Yeah.
or that can.
So Cindy is actually the most dangerous one because Cindy will revive Mindy and Sandy if you take them out first.
Yeah, agreed. Them as bugs, which I believe was Final Fantasy X.
That's correct. Yes.
Oh, it's been so long since I played 10, but yeah, you wanna take out Cindy as quickly as possible. Plus, that is how Mindy bounces her spells off of the Magus Sisters. Unfortunately, though, Kane is kind of not doing so well. Well, it's just Kane that's left.
And I think this reflected spell might be very dangerous for Kane. Oh, that was maybe a preemptive reset. That was only 290 damage, I think.
You know, I think Kane was berserked though, so that did have a bit of a problem there with that tele-life to HP survive.
So in this battle, typically the strategy is to focus all of your energy on Cindy and to take her out first, because she revives the other two, and especially in such a high HP spot, you definitely don't want that to happen. But there is some value in some cases in taking out Mindy first, because if you take her out, then the Delta attack, their very powerful magic attack, just can't happen, and that prevents you from taking those really high damage magic attacks until she gets revived, and that gives you the opening you need to basically wail on Cindy as much as you can.
Agreed, and even though Berserk does give a nice little power bonus, the downside to Berserk is you no longer really get to choose who our friend attacks. So for all we know, Kane could just say, you know what, Sandy has to die while Cindy and Mindy are just walloping on your party. So hopefully RNG plays into the Berserk favor, otherwise board face AI might have a field day with that.
And this battle, even this battle, which is typically not the most challenging battle you would find in many spots, can be very difficult in this spot because of the high HP totals. Our tracker LM Motas pointing out once again that a rune axe would be the would tear through this, and it's the one axe we haven't seen yet. I don't know if we saw mute daggers for sale anywhere, but that would also be an option. But another thing to note about this fight is that even after you take Cindy down, if you haven't been doing any damage to Sandy, she is going to start charming your characters, and they're going to start attacking each other. And with very high HP totals left on her, that can also spell the end of your battle, even after you have taken down Cindy, who you might assume is the biggest threat.
Yeah, Sandy is definitely the sleeper of the three. I know I tend to forget about her until I've taken out some of her sisters, and then she starts charming me because she just kind of sits back, commands everybody, and then waits until one of her sisters is down and says, well, now I get to make your life heck.
And Mindy is down on Antidale's side. So the interesting thing about this game in terms of confused characters is that if Tella does get confused, he will cast random spells from his repertoire on your party, which is probably the most dangerous thing out of all three of them being charmed.
Agreed, and looks like Sandy is down on PK's side thanks to that Berserk Cane, so we'll see if he'll be able to take out Cindy before she comes back, because as you saw on Antidale's side, Mindy was down, and now Mindy is back up.
We're down. Oh, very unfortunate timing. Just as Mindy goes down, Cindy brings Sandy back up on PK's side.
Yeah, this is potentially this could go either way if Kane can. Oh, nope, there's the
Um,
remedy and the reset.
yep. So a deceptively difficult boss location for the Magus Sisters.
As our tracker LMO toss is bringing up, yeah, permajoin makes things very interesting because you're left with situations like this where you want to have, you don't have all the character checks yet. You want to leave space open to kind of give your party, your late game party, some flexibility. But in exchange, you run into situations like this where with a full party, the Magus Sisters at Ruby doesn't seem that scary. Unfortunately, with this comp, it's not a great situation for their team. There's not that many characters that the sisters can choose from to do damage to, and there's not really good options of doing damage to those characters. So it's finding that good balancing act between getting through early game as quickly and efficiently as possible while still leaving yourself some wiggle room for late game characters that might be pretty awesome later on.
It's absolutely right. In my head, I'm thinking, you know what's great for this battle would be that Rydia with Sylph, who can go right through that wall on Cindy and heal the party every time she does it. But then you have Rydia forever and ever, and getting her the experience necessary to make her viable for the Z fight is no joke.
100% agreed there. And yeah, as Dishmu alluded to, there are certain spells that can just nope right through walls. Sylph is one of them. Quake is absolutely one of them. I believe Meteo and Nuke. No, Nuke is wallable, so Meteo for sure. So it's, again, there are options, but I don't know. It's looking at our two runners. How many times do you think they're going to continue to essentially bang their head against this wall before they try to figure out some new strats? Like you even see PK here just doing random encounter grinds to get a little bit stronger.
Antidale actually looks like he's about through. So I'm going to venture a guess that he's about to find a rather surprising bit of gravity on the other side of the door, and we'll move on to the underground.
Yeah, going through this door would be a real shame if he happened to fall down into a pitfall or something, but in case that happens, thankfully we are able to use that to our advantage. Antidale is through, has underground access at just shy of 45 minutes, so kudos to Antidale for getting through a surprisingly rude Magus Sisters.
And we see that the Kaipo guards are going to be our bosses at the top of the tower, which means that that is effectively free, given that Tella has his full spell set. As long as he can get in a turn, and you put him in the middle, he is going to pretty much be able to turn them to stone and be done. So that's another objective that's going to be fairly easy to complete. It's just a question of whether Antidale goes to perhaps check his freebies first, just in case he finds that tower key, which would give him a second check in the tower as well.
And as our restreamer Ground Flyers pointed out, Antidale still has that hourglass too, so that free fight got even freer, and Antidale, I'm pretty sure, realized that, so the moment he gets down, doesn't even bother getting the free chest and Fame Arch, goes right up for the keyless tower play.
And this is a really heads-up play too. Getting that extra experience, I believe it's about 20,000 experience you get from this spot, can also set you up a little bit better to take on even a free Fame Arch boss.
It's a pretty bold strategy, Shmoo. We'll see if it pays off for Antidale.
We are, in fact, on voice channel the Ocho. So
I had to throw one in there. As we pointed out, remember, both of our runners have the pan, so we've actually got a lot of freebies waiting to be checked out. See the keyless tower just because of the free fight status. We have the pan check, so the moment the whack pan or thwack pan with the gang, thwack Yang with the pan, we potentially get a key item from the Sylph Cave itself. They can head up to Fabul and get the Sheila 1 and Sheila 2 checks to see if Sheila is carrying the goods today. And of course, the Feymarch chest. So there are a lot of checks that'll be happening shortly.
And luckily, this is not a terribly high attack spot, typically home to Dr. Luggage. And as a result, our back road characters are fairly safe from harm. But this spot does have, I believe, about 18,000 hit points total, which makes it a little bit difficult to chew through if your stone spell doesn't land. But not a problem for Antidale.
Agreed. What's kind of funny about that particular fight, that is interesting access. So if you decided to say, you know what, I don't really want to go underground, Keyless Tower said, okay, here's the Darkness Crystal, now you can go to the moon. So the entire game is open to Antidale right now at 48 minutes.
This is definitely, but this is a situation where I would certainly say our runners probably do want to check their freebies, because at this point, Antidale is one key item away from go mode. All Antidale needs is either the Adamant or the Luca key in order to be completely able to finish the seed. And as a result, those 4 item checks, the chest at the bottom of Feymarch, the Sylph item, and the 2 items from Yang's wife Sheila, are very, very typically unwise to pass up when you're only looking for one more key item.
Agreed. And as chat's pointing out, with the Darkness Crystal, we now have access to our D-Machine grind. So at this point, Antidale really needs to start thinking of what he wants his party against Z to look like. How long does he want to take looking for new characters? I know Dwarf Castle has 2 bosses, key item, but it also has a free character you can check. So that is it. Now Antidale is in panic mode, but also has to be in thinking mode. So we get to see Yang thwacked with the pan, got it right this time, and the Sylph reward is printed money. I believe that's the second crystal shield we might have seen.
That is, in fact, the second crystal shield we've seen.
And as Commander Leonhard has pointed out in chat, there is a Cecil in this seed. There is not a second Cecil in this seed, however. And with both the group flags and the lunar table flags, vanilla agility is an active flag. So what that means is if you have a Cecil in your party, no matter what spot Cecil is occupying, that is your agility anchor. That being said, if you don't have a Cecil, whichever character is in the middle slot or the highest priority spot, which is middle, top, bottom, middle top, and then middle bottom, that determines what your agility anchor is. Now, if you want me to explain agility anchoring for you, I will tell you no, because it is witchcraft.
I agree. Agility is witchcraft.
Oh, wow.
And that is go mode. That's
that
both go modes.
Yeah, that is the Advert and the Luca key.
So take your pick. We're probably gonna see Coco forge a sword today, just to see what's in that shop. And I would wager that's where Antidale's gonna go first before picking his characters. Although,
just right now,
I'll say even with the Holy Sword, I don't know if you take a Cecil under the circumstances, largely because you have the D money grind open to you. And as a result, when you're fighting D machines, you can't really control how much experience you're getting, as opposed to Sirens, where you're doing the battles one at a time, and you can knock out Cecil at the appropriate juncture. It's all or nothing with both the Mac Giants and the D machines. And so as a result, if you're going to do a D machine grind and you're resigned to that, typically a bad idea to actually take a Cecil in any circumstance, unless there's, like you said, a second Cecil that you can pick up afterward at base level.
100% agreed, and that was a fantastic shop for Kane. So this is officially the Kane seed. I saw that in your spirit and dragoon armor
and sirens
and sirens. So we've this.
So we have options, lots of options. So actually, taking that Cecil is not necessarily a bad play at this point.
It's like, honestly, if I was Antidale, I would immediately go to Mysidia and pick up that Rydia. 100%.
I would actually, I might grab the Rydia, but I might just grab a Kane and a Cecil at this point. I have the X-Cal, that's a very good end-game weapon for Cecil. And if I'm going full Berserk, I'm just going to go full Berserk. Find a shop that, see if any shop has Cure 3s, and forget about White Mages.
Yeah,
one more thing I might do if I'm Antidale is head down to Feymarch and see if I can get that 10th key item. As once he hits 10 key items, he will in fact get double experience from every battle, including the D-Machine battle or any of those Siren battles that he might take.
Ooh, and Antidale turning heel for us. He has denied validation of the seed. The Job Dwarf remains jobless.
In the meantime, PK still having trouble with that Magus Sisters fight.
So, Shmoo, if you're PK, once he gets through the Magus Sisters and does his checks and eventually goes to Sheila, what do you think his thoughts are going to be at that point in time?
Oh, I think he's going to believe himself to be terribly behind. Usually, that's what everybody thinks at every juncture when they're racing, but in this case, PK would unfortunately be correct.
Yeah, it would be, for me, I would agree, it'd be hard to not think that I had any chance at that point in time.
Not having a chance and being behind are not the same thing. I'm going to be very clear.
That is true. That is very true.
There are definitely ways that PK can pick up time. Anything can happen with the grind. Antidale could complete a completely perfect D-Machine grind and forget to turn off encounters and take a wipe directly after. This will not happen, though, because Commentator's Curse is not real. I deny it.
It looks like there's key item number 10 with the tower key. So Antidale is good to go with the double XP bonus. Heading to Feymarch was the brilliant play right there. And we have Cure 3s. We have Sylph. Ooh, this just got interesting.
There we go. 10 key items, Cure 3s. We don't need a White Mage anymore. This is me. I'm saying let's pick up 2 more melee fighters and quad Zerkit. Little bit difficult with only one source of Berserk, I'll grant. Especially when that is Tella and he's also your anchor. But nonetheless.
It's like I would almost go because our white mage, if you will, was so weak in the form of Tella, I would be a little hesitant and just stay with a triple Zerk, keep one of them.
Oh no,
Sid, just as a chemist. Oh, you're just like, nope, go.
No, it wasn't that. That oh no, that oh no was PK finding the rune axe right after banging his head against the Magus Sisters for 20 minutes.
Oh no! But thankfully PK is through, so hopefully he'll be checking. He'll be checking the airspeed of the wind speed of an unladen swallow and.
Is that an African or a European swallow?
I don't know.
In any case, we have a question from chat from Commander Leonhardt. So, D. Shmoo, you're basically saying that curses are only real if you believe in them, and you don't? No, I'm saying that I totally believe the Commentator's Curse is real, but I've just cursed Antidale, and I feel really bad about it. So, I'm just kind of trying to pretend and be nonchalant.
The seed being item trolley, as Barabbas the Brown has pointed out. Oh, here's Runex, by the way. LOL.
I didn't catch that last time. It looked like some sort of ninja item. I couldn't tell if it was a star, a hat, or or armor, but there was an Asura summon and a crystal gauntlet in PK's tower dive, and a rune ring. So lots of nice gear.
And it does look like Antidale is raising the lunar whale. It could be for a few reasons. There is the Hummingway shop up on the moon. There is that character that he will be required to check since he doesn't have the pass to bypass it. And yeah, there are potentials for things like Warlock grinds, even a hairdryer grind if you really want to be cheeky at this point. But it looks like Antidale is going to be grabbing that Cecil. So we have an agility anchored, or vanilla agility anchored team.
And Cecil is no longer Sir not appearing in this seed. Arba's pointing out as well that the rune ring would have been useful against the Magus Sisters as well. Yes, also true.
So it is looking like Antidale is doing that character check at the very least. Whether you like it or not, you have to check it if you go through the lunar subterranean. So we'll be finding out if that's going to be our 5th character.
Now, the real question is not whether PK thinks he's behind. I think PK is, doing a bit of looting, which kind of tells me that he's not necessarily even in that mindset. But the question is, where does Antidale think he is? Does Antidale think that he's behind as well? And how would that impact his decision-making?
You know what? Given the fact that he did have a couple wipes, combined with Sheila literally having the keys to this entire seed, I would think he feels a bit under the gun right now. Now, the lunar check was a cane, and Antidale did say no. So I'm curious if he was potentially looking for a better white mage, or just something else entirely that wasn't another cane. That being said, Antidale looks like he's going to be stopping at Mysidia again. I still think he's grabbing Rydia. As much as I'm team Yeet Rydia, that's what I'm think he's going for. Either that or Yang.
So Jerson in chat asking if we've heard of second cane. No, but I have heard of third cane. So
actually, that's fourth cane.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
This is an Oops All Cane seed, and it looks like Antidale is committing to a mage, but it is the Punch Mage. We are getting a Yang as character number 5, and Antidale will be going the Zerk route.
The one bit of danger here is if Antidale does forget to knock out his Cecil, or takes too many battles, he could in fact overlevel his Cecil and get a little bit out of whack with his agility. He does have that ogre axe. I'm sorry, the ogre axe, the dwarf axe, pardon, which will reduce Cecil's agility by 5. But other than that, he does not have the cursed ring, which is the main way we would want to nerf Cecil's agility, would lower it by 15. So it is a little bit dangerous if Cecil gets up a little bit too high.
Agreed. And yeah, there's a certain point where you want to stay below it, but you can still get to relative agility 1 using, I think, an agility of around 28, and that requires a specific level. And again, that's when I go into yes, this is still witchcraft, and I have not reached that level in my wizardry classes to understand any of that. So we'll just let the smart people in chat explain it.
I definitely can't do the calculations in my head, but basically the way I understand it is that agilities that are a multiple of 14 on your agility anchor are going to give you the ideal relative agilities for Zeramus, which means you want 28, 14, or 42. Slightly above is not ideal, but okay. Slightly below is very bad. So 27, you do not want 27 agility.
And yeah, it looks like Antidale might be leveling Cecil up to hit that 28 agility mark, because Cecil did get some XP out of that one and got 30 levels from that single fight. That's the power of a slingshot.
So with the tanky items and the slingshot, that would have been 4 times experience, I believe. And we're looking for that level 44 or level 45, ideally. If he goes a little bit over, should be okay with the Dwarf Axe. But if he goes a lot over, there's no way to fix this party.
It looks like Boardface struck with that perfect damage on Cecil there.
Now, I actually really like this strategy of using the eggs, even though he has access to the moon. The eggs give less experience, and they're slightly faster battle than the dragons or the warlocks. But they are also less experience per battle. This gives you a little bit more fine control over Cecil's leveling and a little bit more safety. But it may be slightly slower in the long run.
Agreed. And to reiterate what the chat is answering from Marty56 in chat, yes, sirens have been found. They were in the Copal shop. So Antidale bought a whole bushel of them. Basket of them? Carton of them? You got a lot of sirens.
A bushel and a peck, and Lucas key around your neck.
That works.
That one was actually probably from Muppets, but he's probably not here today. The only one in the community who I know would get every theater reference.
Hey, you never know. Sometimes that strike range hits in the most mysterious of ways. So it looks like PK is leaving the tower currently. Let's see what he is going to be doing next. Meanwhile, again, we've got some more eggs being scrambled on Antidale's side. The nice thing about these egg grinds is, I believe it's around 2,000 HP. I can't remember if that's the exact total or not, but if you're able to do that much damage in a single attack against that egg gets destroyed outright. Anything less than that, it cracks open, you see that gold dragon, which isn't that bad, but now it starts doing some damage to you, because apparently it doesn't want to be scrambled. Thankfully, though, Antidale's characters are at the point where they can single hit kill that egg outright, and it doesn't have to worry about seeing that dragon ever again.
And Cecil on Antidale's side hits that level 44. Or 45, actually, I miscounted. So we'll see if Antidale remembers to knock out Cecil, and he does. So looks like Antidale's agility is going to be just right for the Z fight.
At this point now, it is just getting the characters to the level that Antidale wants, and then going out and checking out that Z fight.
In the meantime, PK is indeed checking his freebies.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that if the moment PK sees just how stacked Sheila tends to be, he's going to get a little worried. Oh, it looks actually like PK is going to be raising the whale. This is one of the situations where, as a commentator or just someone watching the race go down and knowing what Sheila has, you hate to see this, but at the same time, I can't blame him. It's a nice character check, given the fact that this party is not fully put together yet. But as it's stated in chat, check your freebies. Always check your freebies.
Now we'll get to see what PK actually decides to do, though, once PK finds out that it is just another Kane on the moon, and whether PK also decides to take a Cecil, or to maybe take Kane number 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'm definitely willing to bet that, like Antidale, he was probably looking for some form of white mage. Um, and it looks like Antidale has finished his grind. He is heading to the moon. I don't think he's going to be stopping at any of the boss checks. I think he's just going to be swag walking the entire lunar subterrane.
I don't anticipate this party will have any trouble with the Z fight. I would take a safety save just in case, solely because only having one source of Berserk, there are many things that can go wrong. But I think the power of this party is going to be more than enough to get through the fight.
Yeah, agreed. I'm definitely not one of those people that can go through the entirety of lunar subterranean. Bosses are not and not safe. That's just me in general. But yeah, it's aside from maybe a rude roll on an Unnerf Big Bang, this should be a pretty power overwhelming fight as long as we can get Tella to stay alive as long as possible to zerk some people.
And since Tella is no longer Antidale's anchor, that actually might be a little bit easier than if he had decided to not take that Cecil. Wondering if that factored at all into his calculus.
Now, I will say that I see some really weird questions in the chat. It's a stick and a Z or an N. I mean,
is that a pirate flag? Are we being attacked?
I mean, I haven't seen the Fire Nation recently. It's plus, well, no, that'd be the Water Tribe, but they're peaceful people. I mean, according to count KNH, oh my goodness, kind of nerdy housewife. I am kind of tired too, so yeah, it is past our bedtime. It's definitely past the twins' bedtime because Pelham and Porum were twins not appearing in this seed.
Well, it seems that every time we get to this part of the game, everyone just wants to ask some kind of a question.
Because yeah, in this particular game, of all the things we can randomize, we don't really want to randomize Zeramus, the final boss. We don't want to see him in the waterfall. That's just kind of rude. So instead, what our wonderful developers have done is they've created, I think it's over 450 some individually designed sprites by Scala. I think Boardface are the main two, Scala for sure. And it's randomized each and every single time as to, well, I'll let you answer, or actually ask the question, Dishmu.
It's just about time to finally ask, whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
I'm always a personal fan of both Zero Ward, because Team Edward, and Zeramus, which is literally a number 0.
That is definitely one of my favorites, but I'm also partial to Temp Jobmas and Syrup Miss. I don't know why, but Syrup Miss always makes me crack up.
I'm a fan of it. Also, Randomania, thank you for that raid, and welcome to the perfect time to show up. You get to see the Z-Sprite, but point of note, please do not spoil the race you just witnessed. We've been watching the race over here. We had no idea what's going on in your neck of the woods, so please no spoils, or you will get to the newspaper. And Scala's newspaper is very, very wicked.
I'm wondering if PK is going to grab Eddie. That would be interesting.
I'd be here for it. Hey! It is Grinchmas.
The Grinch who stole Zeramus.
I'm here for it, and it looks like PK did take Eddie. So PK's final two members are Rydia and Edward. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to play out. So it almost looks like PK might be setting up a potential Eddie strat situation. This is going to be very, very interesting. Oh, as Max Frost pointed out, it could just be Eddie would be a very good anchor. That being said, sending Rydia to a dirt nap that quickly makes me think, well, it could either be a slingshot for Rydia or, again, that Eddie center anchor.
I tend to think Rydia is going to be the anchor, not only because PK knocked her out, but also because she starts out with a lower base agility than Edward. Edward actually starts out, I believe, with around 12 agility. Rydia starts out around 9.
That's a valid point.
And in the meantime, Antidale is carving Grinchmas into roast beast.
Nice. The main downside to a very, well, almost exclusively melee team is that you do have to deal with the HP refill on this case, Grinchmas. With a reflex strat based party, you only have to do about, I think it's like 60,000 points of damage to defeat Zeramus. With the melee team, you do go through that reset, and I think that HP total goes up to roughly 100,000. And that's just because, well, the Super Nintendo couldn't really handle big numbers because, well, low tech. And answering Direwolf, yes, Antidale did get a lot of eggs. They were found in the cocoa shops. So there was a rare siren grind in the table flags.
That's right. And I want to give a shout out. I unfortunately had to refresh my stream, so I lost my chat history. But to all those who were throwing out subs and supporting this hype train for free enterprise, thank you so much. I believe in Zeramus Zone this day. Your hearts have grown 3 sizes. So, much appreciated.
Ooh, and unfortunately, Antidale takes a wipe against Z right there. That is the downside to not really having a good mage or a good white mage, and having to rely on, well, essentially Tella to do a lot of things that Tella doesn't normally do, because Tella is usually asleep at this point of the fight.
And to clarify for our tracker, Ella Motas, no, that was not a Threemus Zone bad joke. That was a Grinch Who Stole Christmas bad joke. Although I screwed up the actual rhyme of it.
It's okay, I was going to just take it in the complete opposite direction and just say, was that a JoJo reference? But
No. It's the end of the Grinch Who Stole Christmas. He learns the meaning of the holiday, gains that Christmas spirit, and his heart grows 3 sizes that day.
Unfortunately, since you did lose the chat history, I believe it was Neckbeard Tech that mentioned that the HP refill grew Grinchmas's heart 3 sizes as well.
And joke sniped.
And Scala has one-upped with, it grew Threemus sizes. All right, everybody, show's over. Scala wins.
Scala's
inbox.
Love for the Grinch, but no love for Max. Maximus when? I want the doggy with the reindeer horns.
I'd offer up mine, but he's sleeping in his bed behind me.
So, PK has not done a very large amount of grinding, but has Edward. Let's see what. Yeah, let's see what this plan is.
That'll be very interesting because the thing is with Eddie strats, they are for going through a very, very long, well, not necessarily long Z, but just getting to the Z fight. You want it to go pretty smoothly in a very straightforward manner, but Edward's strats are very, very, very mentally intensive. You have to be on point with a lot of your inputs, your star veils, your timing of everything. And that goes potentially for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, as Bad Karma's pointing out in the chat, given his comp right now, he can do a bit of a hybrid strat with Eddie. So what he can do is just, get a lot of damage early, and then once you hit that cutoff point to avoid the HP refill, at that point it just goes into Eddie reflecting nukes. So this is going to be very interesting to see which one comes on top, because Antidale's been at it for a while. This is attempt number 2, but I mean, PK, if he could pull off these hybrid Eddie strats, it could take it.
I'm inclined to think that Bad Karma is right, actually. I think this might be a hybrid Eddie Zilt strat. I'm wondering if PK is just planning to starveil as many people as possible and just keep throwing crystal. Not strictly a Zilt strat if it's not vampires, I guess, but what you might call the 1200 HP strats.
Actually, Zerking Kane right there kind of makes sense. And with those HP totals, the moment a Big Bang comes out, that Kane is done. Unless it's a very, very generous low roll, I don't see Kane surviving that Big Bang. So you might as well get that little bit bonus damage while he still can. Actually, while Antidale's taking on Z and PK is hiding Edward from Z, I did want to give a quick shout out to our behind the scenes team and our restreamer Groundflyer. He's the one that rolled this fantastic seed that we've seen today. Ellen Motos is clicking all the buttons, making everything light up. I mean, Shmoo and I, we're pretty much just sitting here watching it just like everybody else in chat, just enjoying us, having a good time. Those two are doing all the work behind the scenes. Scala, a wonderful admin who I'm pretty sure is physically able to be in like 20 places at once, which is fascinating to me to this day. Everybody behind the scenes is just fantastic, amazing people. Massive shout outs to them. Follow them, follow our runners, follow my wonderful co-commentator D Shmoo. You've been doing a heckin' good job.
Thank you, and you too, Asuka. Everybody, please give Asuka all the credit she deserves, both for this wonderful commentary and for being the most notorious roller of trolley seeds in the community to date.
I wouldn't go that far just yet. I've just had some fun luck recently.
I do tend to imagine Scala sitting at a desk watching like 50 screens like Ozymandias in Watchmen. Just,
you mean the character in comic book history? I'm sure getting up pretty soon. Oh, there it is. Back. All right. F5, everybody. Chat. The stream is relatively up. Refresh while you can.
And it
just a difference in the force. That's all.
And we are down to just Eddie on PK's side. Pure Eddie strats. Well, I missed the last attack from Grinchmas on Antidale's side, so I'm not sure what phase we're in.
We are in this phase.
Let's just call it plasma. We're in plasma phase.
Yeah, the Grinchmas tried to steal the stream, and Groundflyer Restreamers said no.
So Antidale having some trouble with those full force big bangs on his side. Cecil doing a lot of work with that Excalibur, but not sure if it's going to be enough.
Yeah, it is so hard to have just having one white mage is kind of hard, but having Tella is even tougher. And unfortunately, that is another white for Antidale. That is honestly, that is not good to see, knowing that PK is pretty much right in the heat of Eddie strats. This is suddenly turning into a heckin' good race.
I'm just glad that it wasn't due to Antidale forgetting to turn off random encounters.
Agreed.
So one thing is that that cure coming from Tella was really kind of lackluster. It only healed about 1,000 hit points onto Cecil, which did not adequately prepare him for that big bang. One thing that Antidale might have forgotten is that his Cure 3 potions are going to do more work than Tella's Cure spells at this point, unless he's casting Cure 4, which should be a single target full heal. And also an instant cast. But I believe he was low on MP at that point. I'm not entirely sure because of the stream going down in between, but that's my theory.
I wouldn't be surprised because, again, Tella's MP pool is so limited. And as you can see, Antidale is now taking some King Ryu grinds on the moon to try to get a little bit stronger, get a little bit more power overwhelming. And meanwhile, PK is just slowly chipping away at Grinchmas. And as pointed out in chat, you know, it looks like a pretty straightforward fight, but any single wrong input, wrong timed anything is instant death for PK. And this is not a quick fight. This is, again, 10, 15, even 20-minute fight. And when you're fighting Z, the last thing you really want to do is having to be so like laser focused on getting this right. It is really rough.
So Antidale taking that experience, but not knocking down his Cecil. May just be opting for power overwhelming, regardless of agility. But I'm worried now about this setup. Unless he switches in that Dwarf Axe.
That is a tough one, considering how much damage Cecil was doing with the Excalibur, and he did save over his save. That I think was the one that had the proper agility anchored Cecil. So
he did check his agility one more time right after saving, but I did not catch the number. If anybody in chat did catch the number, please do let me know. Let all of us know.
I can do that. Totally missed it too.
So, right, I caught that it was level 53, because I saw he got 8 levels from that fight from 45, but I don't know what the agility level is naturally at that level. 32. So Dwarf Axe would actually put him at the worst possible agility.
Yeah, that is kind of sketchy.
Yeah, I think if he can get the Berserk up, the damage will come in fast enough. I might have, in that situation, tried to take one more battle so I could put that Dwarf Axe on Cecil and just have him be, even at 29 or 30 rather than 32. But my understanding of agility is limited, and I agree that agility is in fact witchcraft. So there's that.
Yeah, to answer in chat, I haven't been tracking personally the HP on PK side. I do know he's been at it for a while now, so he's maybe halfway, 2/3 of the way done. I'm pretty sure he's still got some time left.
He's going to need about 30 turns at that damage roll. So next time he opens up his menu, let's see how many Star Veils he has left. So he has 27 left. I saw there's one stack of 30, and he still had all of his starting Star Veils, which was, I believe, something like 6 or 8. So this is so incredibly intense that I am just completely enthralled watching these two runners try to get through the Z fight.
That's what I've really loved about this, is the fact that there's so many ways to go through Z, and it's not just like yes, we've seen similar or identical comps going into Z, but you'll see radically different comps like this. And even though Antidale got into the Z fight so much faster than PK did, it's still, here we are, an hour and a half in, and they are both in the fight together, just doing completely different strats. And it's really nice to just see the divergence pretty much throughout the majority of the seed, and even in this final fight. So it's one of those kind of cool things, even though both fights are terrifying in their own rights, vastly different reasons.
On Antidale's side, it's basically like we discussed before. Normally, it's to be a very safe fight. If you had Bacchus Wines, you could get your quad Zerk going, stay fairly well ahead of Zeramus' actions, and ideally get that healing out there a little bit more actively. Or try Zerk if you are playing conservatively. With Young, with such high HP values, throwing out items as a chemist can be fairly safe. But with Tella being so slow and being the only source of Berserk, it just makes this fight that much more difficult. Cecil really is the only source of damage. And, Antidale playing just a little bit maybe more aggressively than he could, could have more characters purely on healing. It's really a judgment call, right? So we'll see if this time he just ekes it out.
And the other thing that we have no control over is we're dealing with unnerfed Big Bangs here, and it's not a set number of, yes, Z will do this exact amount of damage with a Big Bang to this specific character. It's a range, and you can get some low roll Big Bangs and be a lot more comfortable, or Board Face AI can just laugh at you and just get repeatedly smacked by high roll Big Bangs. And I mean, given the fact that there's not really a white mage other than Tella, that's kind of scary, because chemists can only do so much, and it takes a while for the HP totals to get back up. You've seen a lot of, I've seen some pretty high numbers coming out of those Big Bangs on Antidale's side.
That's right. Now, all of his melee fighters can actually tank that damage if they're at full strength, but keeping them all up at full strength is just not possible with this party comp. He will need to eventually let one or two of them fall and bring them back up. It's a question of just which ones and the timing. But it looks like we do have the crack flash on PK's side. And PK has finished with a Discord official time of 1:31:54. GG, PK.
Absolutely awesome GGs. And it sounds like I heard that little beep, and PK is in the chat. So GG's, PK. I'm always happy to see an Eddie strat. How was that for you?
Just awful. It's I mean, I knew there were better ways to get through that sisters fight, but I felt like just going for it.
How did you feel seeing the rune axe directly afterward in the chest on the way down?
I mean, I certainly made a gesture or two at my monitor that I won't describe in any more detail than that.
And speaking of thoughts on the scene, what were your thoughts on Sheila today?
Well, that was one of those where I knew Auntie probably got through that Magus Sisters fight faster, but there was a part of me that was actually hoping to have found Go mode in that capacity, just because if you had taken extra characters, if there was no curse string, then you were going to have to just grind, and there wasn't a white mage. So I was 50-50 on, like, do I feel better about this, or do I just feel even worse now that Go mode is right here? Because, like, the sirens are phenomenal and everything else, but trying to run, Zerkers without finding an edge to seal Bacchus, and I don't think I saw a white mage. I was praying when I got to the moon I didn't see a white mage either.
And what's actually interesting is, I don't know if you've been watching the restream. That's pretty much that was the divergence where you went the Eddie strats, and Antidale, who unfortunately took another wipe just now, Antidale went the Zerk strat. So he got to Z significantly earlier than you did.
Yeah, I've been Tom Sawyer funeraling this the last 15 minutes. Just the minute that I opened it up and I saw Antidale on the Z fight, my first thought was, "Oh no, Antidale, what did you do to yourself?" Because
that wipe he just took was in medio.
Yeah, it's if you take that Cecil early, I saw those sirens there. Vanilla agility anchoring is really not nice. I know Antidale so well. I love Antidale. They're arguably my closest friend in this whole wonderful community. So I assumed, that they had gotten through that Magus Sisters fight. But that was sort of the lesser of two evils kind of thing. It was like, if I run back and I take Iridia and I take Cecil, what is my Z fight going to be? And by all means, I still expected to lose. I was sitting there the whole time, just inputting something for Eddie, checking if there was stock done, coming back, inputting another thing for Eddie. And, yeah, I'm very happy that I won that. If there's anyone I was going to lose the match to, 100%, I would not mind giving up a loss to Antidale. He's a great guy.
Now, hearing that you did feel that you were probably behind exiting Upper Babel, you made the slightly unorthodox decision to walk up Lower Babel, looting. What was going through your head while you were doing all that looting?
I was like, whatever. If I've lost this race, maybe I'll pull out a Crystal Sword and upset Flurry. It was one of those mental things where I was, very strongly like, I don't know who I want on my party at this point. I had a feeling that with that pan turn in, a freebie in the Fey March, and already, by the time that freebie at the top of the tower was done, it really felt like, okay, we're going to be close to Go mode. If I can find something that tips the balance, more so in Cecil's favor, because I really, I figured at that point, if I had to go do a D machine, I going to be hosed. So it was like a aha YOLO. I don't know if you saw, but when I went to grab that moon veil again, Sid managed to hit for exactly one less than the amount of damage that the searcher has. Which was just about a good summary of how it was going. I was like, maybe I'll get a moon veil, and you know, if they can't find darkness, I'll take some weird Fey March fight. But it was just
gone.
Oh no, that's about it.
There's a visceral. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's more so. I do have a request from our restreamer Ground Flyer. I was told to tell you about the sirens in the Kogel shop.
I saw the sirens.
Okay.
I already had the one siren.
Making sure.
Yeah, there was a visceral reaction in chat when you left the shop without buying anything. I felt everybody collectively slapping their foreheads. It was a disturbance in the force. But yeah, it was we weren't sure if you were going to go for Eddie strats or maybe just low HP or Zilch type strats. And we were really fascinated by that choice.
Well, I did see Stone in chat. You know, it might have cut 2 minutes off of the Z fight if I had done 1 or 2 more sirens, just because my plan was, as you saw, it was Zerk, that Kane with the white spear. The Kane was going to live through the first big bang, so I get 2 rounds of Zerk damage from Kane and then transition into Eddie strats. But you know, Kane was hitting for 1600, so if I could have upped that to 2300, it would have cut you know, a few minutes off of it. But at that point, I'm like, I'm just going. I have 1 siren. I have my anchor. I have Eddie, who is you know, the unlikely hero for me somehow.
Eddie is best boy. Can confirm. Flashback.
Well, this has been the Mean Hook Route tournament, or at least the Mean Hook Route table. Thank you, Asuka and Shmoo, for talking. I'm looking forward to watching this back. I'm sure you'll have some great commentary and criticisms on how many times I tried to cast Medio with Tella that Tella just decided to eat nice too.
Oh, no. I was just being really a fanboy and saying, man, you should go back and get Sylph. That was me.
I was considering using Rydia for the anchor for that fight, but the difference in time between maybe just doing a little grind like I did and just burning the hourglass was, at least my calculation. I don't know if it was the right one, but
well, you're in the table round and I'm not, so I'm going to say yes, it was a good decision.
Every decision on a hook route like that just feels like the wrong decision, no matter what you're doing. At least that's how I feel about it at this point. Yeah, thanks to both of you, Motos, with the clicking. Granted, I don't think there was too much clicking for the most part. And Ground Flyer, we wanted to roll a crazy seed, and I think you managed to pull that one off, buddy. So big ups to Ground Flyer as well on the restream.
Maybe next time you'll have to deal with one of my seeds.
I would say, you know, I look forward to it, but after this one, I think I'm gonna have to take a 25-minute warm shower and scream into a pillow for a while. But we'll see. I'm back on Sunday, so thanks again, everybody. Thanks everyone for watching, and once more, GG Auntie.
And GG's for the fantastic display of Eddie strats. Enjoy your warm showers, screaming into a pillow.
Take care.
Take care. And during that interview, unfortunately, Antidale has taken yet another wipe to a very, very rude virus cast. So hopefully, though, I saw him take on, I believe, the D-Lunar spot. So there's a few more levels. Hopefully, he just doesn't get some bad luck. Channel all of your energy for Antidale.
one of the wonderful things about this community, it doesn't really matter who wins the race as long as Zeramus loses. So we're all rooting for a win here.
Agreed. And you know what? It's like this community, it's a pretty big community, but it's also a really like warm, welcoming community, and everybody is friends with everybody. I mean, pretty much like the Lunar Subterrane is the equivalent of like the Cheers bar, where we all just kind of like hang out and beat up on Z, I guess. But I mean, even though they're up against each other, at the end of the day, like they're still friends. They're still gonna. Well, PK is always going to be pretty sus, but other than that, I mean, we're all friends. We all have a good time. We all enjoy this randomizer and this little community we've carved in the video game and Twitch world. So it's pretty cool. Like, well, I just love the fact that all the different runners, like, they'll share strats, they'll share comments, critiques. PK even more sus for calling me sus, so I vote to kick him out. But other than that, everyone's great fun.
There is a vocal sub-community of Free Enterprise also playing Among Us, if it's not clear to chat.
Rule number
And
1, vote PK off. Rule number 2, vote Inven.
And rule number 3, never gamble with a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Please rule 4, give Kane MP.
I actually have an undefeated imposter record, 2 times of which were with PK. So I'm all for PK.
I am the most dreadful imposter in the world because I think I get to play imposter once every 90,000 rounds. Yeah, looking at those HP totals now that we've gotten a few more levels on Antidale's characters, he will be able to survive significantly in a better state, I should say, with a potentially rude Big Bang. So hopefully we'll get to see that crack flash boom and get some GGs, some well-deserved GGs for Antidale. But, yeah.
And I think I mentioned this earlier. Chazman in chat has also mentioned you can play this battle very, very conservatively. Keep most of your characters just throwing potions, and you should probably get through this no problem. There are ratcheting levels of aggression in terms of berserking more of your party that are going to make it a little bit faster, but hopefully Antidale has found the right balance this time.
We have some really good damage coming out of Cecil. Yeah, we're doing some good work with Cure 2s. I mean, just as long as Antidale can keep his HP totals topped off to, you want to stay at least above the roughly 2,000-2,200 range, just to avoid that really rude Big Bang, which, I mean, looking at the character totals, Tella aside, with the preemptive life cast on Tella, shouldn't be too difficult for Antidale, but the board face has not been kind to Antidale thus far, so we'll see what happens.
Looks like with the triple Zerk going, that Antidale has successfully clogged the queue to some extent, and Grinchmas is having trouble getting in some of his turns. So this one looks like it's on track.
You know, as hopefully this is winding down, I mean, I don't know the schedule for tomorrow, but we have some fantastic matchups that are pretty much all throughout the day tomorrow that you can either watch here on Free Enterprise, you can see potentially one of the Random Mania channels, RPG Limit Break, but we've got some really interesting matchups. Just looking at some of them, I see Possible Orpheus and Baka Shinobi. I believe this might be both of their first matches for the table set. A couple people that we've seen already with Frostbite and Coffee and Chocobos. Penguinator versus Mako Live. We've got just great names, great runners. As Scala said, check our Twitter. They'll have all the schedules, all the news, and yeah, we'll get all that set up as soon as it comes down. And looking at that screen, I am seeing Threemus sink into the void below. That is it. Antidale has defeated Zeramus. GG's with an official time of 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 38 seconds. And I believe Antidale has already joined us in chat. GG's, Antidale. What are your thoughts on that seed? I don't think I can hear him. I don't know if anybody in chat can.
So,
If I can't the hardware mute on the mic.
What? Lies.
But thank you for the GGs, and huge GGs to PK for a very good win. I came in, kind of watched the stream after I'd finished, and I saw his final party team, and that Eddie was sure there. And I knew right after I took the Cecil and was looking for a white mage up on the moon, just kind of hoping to play that game, and really just wanted to play with XKL Cecil again. That I had made the wrong call, but was just going to stick through it because I didn't think I would be terribly far ahead on that hook. Turns out I guess I was a little bit wrong, but that's okay. Like, the game's going to do that to you, and you're going to do it to yourself.
so, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm just starting from early on. You see the hook route, and you have a surprisingly tough Magus Sisters fight. What were your thoughts on that?
I was very glad that they did not attack Tella too much with any spell cast, and he didn't get virused, because otherwise that was just a long, slow fight and nothing too scary, as long as they kept, especially throwing the lit 2s on Kane with that diamond shield.
So, one of the things I noticed is, in terms of party composition, you held off for a really long time before committing, despite mainly finding, well, Kane and Young all over the place. You also sold your inventory a few times and kept passing over that Sylph summon. Can you tell us some of your thoughts about where you were going with your party composition and what you were hoping to find?
I didn't think Rydia was terribly interesting as a 5th character unless I could slingshot her. And by the time that I was thinking about Z levels, I wasn't really that interested in it because I had kind of thought about other things instead. And the Sylph summon is kind of, once you get it that late, like down the hook route, I wasn't too interested in having her in the party and wanted to try with just the 3 people. Because again, I was really hoping to find a second white mage, or Tella, like having Tella as a white mage, and then so you can cast some Berserk and then get a real white mage, and then maybe slingshot the Youngs and go to Z that way. So I didn't really want to pick up Iridia, who I didn't want to take to Z levels, and I hadn't found an Asura, and I didn't want to go do the Mount Hobbs check because the odds of getting Asura out of there are pretty small.
Gotcha. Now, I asked the same question to PK I'll ask to you. So, you go say hi to Sheila. What are your thoughts when Sheila just gives you the keys to the seed?
Well, that's neat. And then, well, I hope there's someone up on Ordeals or up in the moon that is worthwhile. And then seeing the Sirens and Cole's shop kind of froze my brain and just made me think XKL Cecil way too hard. Definitely painted myself into a corner with that, and then just didn't back out of it in time to have it make a difference.
So, in terms of white mage capabilities, there was actually an Asura summon in Lower Babel that PK found. You really didn't do much looting at all. What was your thought in terms of when you stopped looting and why?
I had enough things. The possible plays I was thinking about were, I knew I had some Yongs, I had a Siren, and an Hourglass. So if I need to, I can absolutely go do the Hairdryer's chest on the moon to get them to 1200 HP. which also could have been a better Z strat than what I actually did. There were enough Cure 3 potions for me to pull that out. So I had a plethora of opportunities to do different or more interesting things than the actual strategy I took. And that's part of the beauty of the game, is that you kind of can fixate yourself onto a thing and then absolutely just run yourself out of a seed with it. And PK did a great job of not doing that. So again, hats off to PK for just playing a good race, not getting too hung up on any thoughts of glorious 5,000 hit point damage Cecils, which I certainly did.
Now, speaking of just now that the race is done, you're currently sitting at 1 and 2, probably not where you wanted to be at this point in time. Moving forward for your next 3 races, what are your thoughts, or is your preparation going to change, or is it kind of just stay the course and see how it goes? Like, what is the second half of the lunar table looking like for Antidale?
Back-to-backs, so I'll be able to get a practice seed in at least once after a race, and just hopefully I don't make any kind of brain farty kind of mistakes throughout the rest of it. You only play the best you do on any given day, and I just hope that I get through it. Definitely no shame in losing to the 2 people I lost to, and there's no shame to losing anyone here at the table. Like, you can't make repeated mistakes, and I definitely did at Z, and expect to win. I had definitely been for the last probably 10 minutes before PK did actually do a done, was kind of like flipping back to the Discord channel, being like, why isn't he done yet? I've already been in Z twice. What's going on? So, just kind of better.
Did you have any conversation about where he got stuck?
And I chatted a little bit after the race, and PK and I did too. So, and I'll watch it back to kind of make my own assessment on whether I got lucky in some places or made good decisions, and where PK made really good decisions, and hopefully I can learn from some. And
Fair enough.
It is.
Fair enough. Just one little note of trivia was right after the pitfall was a rune axe in one of the chests, which just felt extraordinarily cruel after that really, really tough Magus Sisters fight. It was the one axe you hadn't found yet.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. And I didn't go shopping for mute arrows at all, but only had a great bow, and I didn't see an elven bow, so I wasn't going to worry too much about Sid getting up on the damage with that stuff.
So yeah, any last thoughts before we tune out for the night?
No, thank you both, Asuka and Shmoo, for doing comms, and thanks to the rest of the Restream team and just everyone for always putting on a good show and just letting us have a good time out here.
Thank you, Antidale, for putting on a good show for all of us, and we look forward to seeing your next couple matches.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for a race very well run.
GG's.
Thank you.
Well, Shmoo, it looks like we are done for the night. Any last thoughts from you about this race or the night as a whole?
Thank you, Asuka, for joining me. Thank you again to our backstage crew, Ground Flyer with the restream, and Ella Motas with the tracking. Thank you to all of our admins, developers, and everybody who worked so hard to make this community such a great community and this game so darn entertaining. And thank you, chat, for joining us. And to all the future viewers watching this on video on demand, we hope you enjoyed this race, and you'll join us for all of our future races.
Agreed. Pretty much ditto on everything Shmoo just said. Thank you again to Shmoo again for joining and taking even one more step into the fantastic realm that is the Restream team. But for right now, we might be done on Free Enterprise on the Free Enterprise channel, but do not go anywhere, because we are going to be sending some Free Enterprise love over to Apex Corvid, who I believe is doing some table practice themselves. So we're going to raid them, but like we said before, no spoils. Do not spoil this race to Apex Corvid. They might be watching it later on. So with that, we will get everything set up for that raid, and until next time, pay attention to the Twitter to make sure you find out when the next race is, and have fun. stay cozy and good night.